It's my opportunity today to talk to a longtime acquaintance of mine. Mike has been in the electric vehicle world now for, wow, probably as long, if not longer, than I've been there. And now he's sort of embarked on kind of a new venture that is actually just an expansion of the whole EV world thing as that starts to grow, and that's called Even. And we're going to talk about that. But first, we just kind of catch up and see where things are at. So, Mike, God, it's good to see you again.
You too, Bill. It's a pleasure. It's been a while, but I think the last time we really were together was, I think it was in Montreal at one of the conferences where you came and keynoted for us, which still to this day is talked about. I said to you before, and I said to the guys when we were launching Even Electric that Bill Moore reached out to say congratulations, and I further went on to say how you are a legend in this space, and of course you turned that over to please explain that to my wife.
Yes, exactly.
Which I said I'd be happy to do, but no, it's been a long road because, as you said, I've been in the space for a very long period of time prior to vehicles, prior to at least this iteration of electric vehicles, not the very first ones that were out at the turn of the 20th century, but at this iteration and really the kind of the relaunch of this electric space. So I had the pleasure and the struggle of launching and going and ringing phones and doorbells and knocking on doors and having meetings about the state of transportation and how we, myself and a couple other people here in Canada, saw this growing. And that other person that I speak about is, as you know, is Al Cormier, and Al has since retired, who's a great guy. And Al and I started Electric Mobility Canada about 2005, and it's still a going concern. But about 2000 to 2005, it was pretty. There wasn't much happening.
It was very lean years. Is what I call the lost decade.
It's so true. It's so true, and you have a vision, and it's hard in some cases to have other people grab onto your vision, especially when you're battling status quo a bit, and that becomes a little bit tough. However, in about 2005 or 6, we were asked by the federal government of Canada to embark upon what's called Canada's Electric Vehicle Technology Roadmap. And I was asked to chair that process and write the roadmap as through a government-funded industry sponsored, industry-supported program. So we went from coast to coast to coast in Canada. We met with people over about a year or two and then subsequently got down to writing the roadmap. And it was in doing that a lot of things, the cream that rose to the top, a lot of things happened, and in particular the new business model section, which I spent a particular amount of time on in that, saying that when disruption occurs, and I was using the internet, another space I was in way back, I was using the internet as an example. When the internet started, who the heck knew we'd be sitting here talking on Skype?
Yeah, exactly.
There's a disruption there, right? Like that. So here we are having this conversation over the internet now that 25 years ago no one thought of. However, so I kept leaning back to those days of the internet world and saying, okay, so we're coming up with this new type of way to move vehicles through electrons, to which there's going to be these new business models that evolve. And one of them was battery technology, repurposing of batteries and so on. But the other one that really stuck was the distribution channel. Yeah. And how do we distribute these vehicles, especially with more vehicles coming online? Tesla's a great example of that. Fisker's a great example of that. BYD's a great example of that. Faraday's a great example. All these new companies. And, respectfully to the OEs in the marketplace now, they tend to be laggards in the EV space with all these new guys coming up, but the new guys need distribution. And we saw that in the roadmap. So one of the partners in Even Electric, Gisli, he was in Iceland in 2008, and he was reading the Canada's Electric Vehicle Technology Roadmap, and we didn't know each other, right? Yeah, we didn't know each other.
Yeah.
He kept looking at this roadmap, and he then started on his quest. So Even really was founded it was founded as Even in 2008 in Reykjavik, Iceland. By about 2010 or 12, he had a location and he was selling electric vehicles. He was early also.
Yeah.
Over the last few years, we've been able to meet, get together, discuss, talk, and subsequently we've formed and just kind of taken the base of operations out of Iceland, because Gisli's a great guy, and he said, in order to be successful, you have to leave Iceland.
Yeah, there's only, so many people there, so.
Right. So he realizes it, but what we've been able to do now is we've been able to launch an existing operation and reposition it into Canada as a Canadian federally incorporated company. And we're looking at opening up and working with licensees around the world. And, in August, a few weeks ago, we did the official launch in Ottawa, and we've had great response. To so much so that it's like I'm back overwhelmed and overconsumed again.
Well, I know we've been trying to do this interview now for how long, and it seemed like
a few weeks.
You keep getting sucked into other things. So
yeah, so it's great. So we've recently, we've got a licensee in Panama. I've got a call with him later today. We were going to be opening up Even locations there. We've signed a deal with a group in the Czech Republic. I've got a deal memorandum going out in the next day or two with a group in Australia and New Zealand. We've been contacted by a number of really interesting companies in your country, and I love the companies that have contacted us, and I'm totally blown away and humbled by them, those that have contacted us. So it's really like, one of them that I got, Bill, I was reading it and they opened with wow. And me being that entrepreneur, the word wow means a lot, as you know.
Yeah.
But in the context of a corporate entity, with that word opening up, and this is a big corporation, that was the word wow. And then I looked at the signature and I went, wow.
Wow, okay.
So, exactly. So they have totally loved what we're doing, and I will have conversations with them. I just can't say who they are right now, but I promise when I get a deal done with them, I'll let you know.
Okay.
I will immediately send you a note.
Okay.
Because it's great. And so we've got, it's really been amazing, taxing, and at the same time, we're, closing deals, we're lining up the vehicle manufacturers, we're finding countries that are interested, cities and locations that are interested. We're building out, and yesterday I had a great call with actually a group out of a company out of Atlanta, Georgia called Renew Merchandise, and we're doing a deal up with Renew, so that when we build a retail store, and I think you'll like this, as much as we can build inside that retail store will be made from post-consumer waste. Recycled
sure.
So our signage, our desks, our tables, everything that we can possibly do, we're going to our apparel line. So we're sticking to that whole sustainability piece.
Well, let's get specific here about what it is, what this enterprise is, because you're sort of general now. We're talking. So we're talking something that's sort of modeled after a Tesla shopping mall showroom, or a big dealer with hundreds of cars in the lot, or just kind of fill in a little bit of what you're thinking.
So here's how it works. If you can imagine and let's take the Tesla, because that's a good analogy. So it will be, Even Electric is the first multi-brand dealer on the planet. Now, I shouldn't say retail store is probably better. We call them Even stores. So the Even store will have a vehicle, electric, obviously, maybe one or two on the floor. But what we'll have is flat screens, and we're agnostic to brand. We want to look after you as a customer. We want to answer your questions on range, on how you do things, on where the vehicles can be recharged, how you recharge, and so on. So we want to look after A to Z in everything that you need to be talk to about electric vehicles. The other thing is that we're not in the old dealership model where you have 5 to 10 acres of land that vehicles are out there everywhere. We're going to do a lot of things differently. So we're going to do EV drive events. So as you come into the location, there's 2 vehicles. We're not going to do an immediate test drive there, but what we will do is we will invite you and or whomever back for a weekend, what we call drive events. We've been doing them and we've been testing this model out in St. John, Newfoundland, and it works beautifully.
Okay.
We have a number of EVs, Nissan, BMW, Tesla, and plug-in hybrid electrics. So the Fusion and the Volt and so on. We have them all available for a test drive on a weekend. So it's an extended drive. So you don't just drive one, you can drive 6, 7, or 8, and 9 vehicles, whatever is available there. So it becomes a test drive event. If you tried to do that at a dealership traditionally, right now, first of all, it's difficult to find the OEs that exist in North America that have the EV to let you drive it.
Right.
They would, and I shouldn't say it like that, but they're more horsepower guys. They want to put you in the combustion engine vehicle.
Right. So
they want you in the ICE. We want you in the electric. So we're going to have these test drive events where you'll get to test drive them all, and then we're going to match you, hopefully, with the most suitable vehicle for you. Now, if I said to a guy the other day on the phone, if it's just a Tesla he wants and that's it, I'm banging the board, I just want the Tesla, then we'll find that for you. So we're looking at working with all of the EV guys, OEMs, everybody, and being able to work in such a way that we accommodate the customer through online sales, at retail locations, in malls or stores, wherever we put them. Then what we will do, Bill, is the idea is, and the concept is, that we will have processing centers. Maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 3, depending upon demand and where we are. But we're looking at all of the ports around the U.S., all the ports right now.
Okay.
And let's say there's one in California and maybe there's one in Hamburg, Germany. Let's just pick those 2 ports. We have processing centers there that will house vehicles that we'll be getting, we'll be buying, we'll be storing, we'll be doing whatever. But what we'll do is we'll bring a vehicle into our processing center, make sure it's cleaned up, fixed up, done properly, everything, and then it'll be shipped to the location for delivery. Okay. So you've gone into Omaha, Nebraska, and you've gone into an Even store, and I want this, I want that, I want this, that vehicle. We will have all your information. So we have Microsoft on the back end that will have Bill Moore, all his information's there. You've ordered the vehicle. You will be able to watch where your vehicle's coming from, and you'll know exactly when you're getting it. Okay. That then allows us to keep you on record as someone that we can then say, hey, Bill, how's your vehicle in 3 months, right? Are you enjoying it? We can do that. And we can follow up and say, Bill, maybe you should bring your vehicle in. It might need some new tires because, as you know and I know, with an EV, there's not a whole lot of service.
That's about windshield wipers and tires. Yeah.
Exactly. So
are these brand new vehicles, or are these refurbished, or are they going to be kind of a pre-owned or a mixture of both?
Mixture of both.
Okay.
So we would love to be able to say we're going to have 100% new, but we've identified in the marketplace already that there's an enormous market for used EVs. People wanting pre-owned EVs because for whatever reason
they're really cheap.
Yeah, they depreciate like I've never seen, right? Yeah. So we can get these vehicles, and we're going, and actually Gisli's made some pretty good inroads with a couple of the OEs. He went to see them because they've got, as you know, a lot of vehicles coming off of lease because they did the big lease program so that they could meet CAFE and the ZEV credits and all that. Well, those vehicles are all coming off lease, and Gisli walked in and said, we'll take them all. We'll find homes for them. Yeah. And we will. So those are the opportunities, because the OEs that he met with said that it'd be tough for them to put them through their dealership network as used EVs. So we'll take them, no problem. And the idea for us is also to, the transportation market's changing. North America, Canada, and the United States have strict standards on DOT, and in Canada, the CMVSS, all the certifications. There's, as you know, BYD, one of the largest vehicle manufacturers in the world, is Chinese.
Right.
And they're producing more EVs than anybody else on the planet.
Yeah.
But we don't know a lot about them over here because they're being produced. Now, they are doing some buses and some commercial vehicles in California, I believe. But what we want to do is we want to work with them and be a potential a channel for them to distribute vehicles in North America.
Does this give opportunity? Tesla, of course, has run into this difficulty where, they can't sell cars because they don't distribute their cars through licensed dealerships. So you've got, a dozen more states that are saying, sorry, you can't do business here. Would a model like this, where you've got salespeople who are, Elon's, main complaint is that, as you pointed out, most car dealerships want to put you in a gas-powered vehicle. Would this model then, if you could sell cars for him, would this help him sort of get around that problem?
Absolutely. That's one of the reasons why we looked at it. It allows us, and it allows us to be John Gordon, who's our COO, has got this pretty well buttoned down, but it allows us essentially to be a retail distribution channel that would hold dealer licenses under used cars and new cars because they're multiple brands, not singular brands.
Okay.
So it would help Elon for sure. And Gisli, Gisli's kind of our global connector.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, Gisli. So Gisli's all over the place. He was at
I don't know. How much time does he actually spend in Iceland? The next
not
time.
Not much. He's he was at the Gigafactory in Reno recently for that thing. He was at the Tesla 3 launch in California for that. He's in constant contact with everybody from in that space. So everybody's keeping up to speed, and as you know, he's one of the nicest people you'll meet, and enthusiastic and passionate about the EV space.
Okay, so of course the other issue here is that who's going to maintain these cars? What are your plans with respect to honoring warranties and taking care of the cars when there are, and there will be, even though they're electric, there are going to be issues with them.
Very good question. So here's what we're doing. We're going to relaunch the Maytag Repairman.
Okay.
But he's going to be called the Even Electric Repairman.
Okay.
And what we've been able to do, so we've already tested the model out. So where we've done it is in Iceland and St. John, Newfoundland.
Okay.
In two sort of under radar locations. So in St. John,
which, by the way, is where my Honda Insight that I owned for 10 years ended up.
Well, you know what? And I'll bet John Gordon probably brought it out there. But I can tell you this. So here's what he's done. He's set up a multi-brand dealership location, and he's a certified service technician for pretty well everybody out there. So we've got the service side all laid out. So to your point, to your question, let's go back to Omaha, Nebraska. So there's a location in Omaha that is a retail location. We would then complement that with, you're going to love this, a service to your door, not necessarily a garage. So picture an electric pickup or panel van, maybe a Via truck, whatever, with a trailer on the back that pulls up in front of your house. That's our service location. Okay. And that technician will be trained in every aspect of every vehicle. And we will have the necessary tools, diagnostics, and everything in the trailer to look after the vehicle.
Okay.
So it's basically what we're doing is we're going to be the Marcus Welby going out to look after the vehicles.
The old doctor in a carriage with a black bag.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So we're taking that. So we're taking a lot of models and repackaging them in a different way and saying, you know what? This is disruptive. Now, we don't see opening up, we will open up a service location, but we see more services being the door-to-door, going out to see you. Now, where your vehicle, if it needed something major, we would be able to bring it in to a service location. So I'll take a case in point in Canada. Right now I'm speaking with a national chain, 325 locations across the country, who are in that space. They service the traditional vehicles. They're not an OEM, and they're not affiliated to any OEM, but they love the concept. So what we would do if we could do with them is they would service, we would work with them on service. We train their technicians so all the vehicles can be serviced. So that's the way we're going to do it. And I know from my days at Azure, like when we were doing the Transit Connect Electric and other vehicles, oh my goodness, it was so difficult. There were dealers that were out there that were great who wanted to do it, and there were dealers out there who were not and didn't want any part of you.
Yeah.
So we at Even feel that we need to bring that in-house and say, okay, you know what? John's done it out in Newfoundland. We kind of just take the stamp and stamp them out as we go along. That's the concept.
Okay.